For this next episode of our retrospective, we'll be talking about Disney's classic Pinocchio. We just like Snow White, we've got a lot to cover, so I'll skip right to the origins. Pinocchio is a story written by Carl Collodi about this puppet boy who's made by Geppetto. He goes on many misadventures, including one where he finds himself at a puppet theater. And then he nearly gets eaten by a whale, turned into a donkey, hung. Yeah, a lot of dark elements. Disney's version of Pinocchio is a lot more lighthearted, not to mention that Pinocchio was a rather jerky. He was kind of a jerk in the original story, but Disney changed that, and it starts out with Geppetto making Pinocchio. Then the blue fairy comes and grants Pinocchio's, and she doesn't grant Pinocchio's, but she turns him into a live puppet. And then Geppetto sends Pinocchio off to school, where on his way to school, he meets Foulfellow and Gideon, who take him to Stromboli's puppet theater where he performs, all before being locked in a cage. But luckily, and his nose grows when he tells the blue fairy a lie. Luckily, the blue fairy is helpful and frees him. He leaves only to meet Foulfellow and Gideon again. This time they take him to Pleasure Island, where he meets this kid named Lampwick, and little do they know that on Pleasure Island, boys are turned into donkeys. This is Lampwick's terrible fate in a rather horrifying scene. Jiminy Cricket, who is Pinocchio's conscience, then discovers the truth in a scene that goes on for a bit too long. They then meet Monstro the whale and have to escape him. And then they realize that Geppetto is in the belly of the whale, and they free him. And Pinocchio nearly drowns, but then wakes up as a real boy. And they all live happily ever after. Now let's get to the characters of Pinocchio. We have, Pinocchio. There's a little puppet boy who's misguided, and can't tell right from wrong. Jiminy Cricket is his conscience who helps him with right from wrong. Geppetto is a poor woodcarver who wants a real boy desperately. Figaro is his naughty little cat. Cleo is his fish. The blue fairy is a fairy who grants Geppetto's wish of partially having a real boy with making Pinocchio alive. Honest John and Gideon are swindle Pinocchio twice. First taking him to Stromboli's and then taking him to Pleasure Island. Lampwick is a boy who is misguided and goes to Pleasure Island only for him to get turned into a donkey. Stromboli is a puppet master who wants nothing more but money. Pinocchio has been seen often at the Disney parks. Meet and greets with the iconic puppet, Geppetto, Foulfellow and Gideon, and Stromboli have been quite common. There's also a dark ride at Disneyland and like Tokyo and Paris too, called Pinocchio's Daring Journey. The first scene is Pinocchio happily dancing with two puppets, and then we see him locked in a cage. In the ending, Pinocchio is safe and sound at his home. We also see Lampwick and the Donkey Boys in Pleasure Island. Foulfellow and Gideon appear on the mural along with some other characters, as well as they do also appear in the Pleasure Island scene of the ride. Monstro appears in the ride, popping out at guests. Speaking of Monstro, in Storybook Land canal boats, he's the thing that guests go through. Pinocchio has appeared in many Disney comics, and that should wrap up Pinocchio. But wait, here's some deleted scenes I didn't tell you about. There's to be this rather terrifying scene where Figaro and Geppetto try to eat Cleo. Then there's this weird story scene that I haven't really seen. And yeah.